Hello and welcome back to the shop. It has been a little bit since I did this. I have been a little bit overwhelmed with all of the stuff going on around the house and power washing my driveway yesterday, holidays coming up. Happy 4th of July this week, I guess. You'll hear some distortion in the background, I'm sure, some jet planes going overhead. There's an air show going on this week, and so they're doing a bunch of test runs and shows and things like that. So just be aware that that is something that I have to deal with at the moment. In the last video, I went through and did the first round of refractory. The refractory being the cement coating on the inside. Wow, that jet plane noise does not go away. That's super irritating. Of course. I should have planned for this, honestly, but I totally forgot that they were showing up. Anyway, so it's the cement inside here, and you'll notice over here that I've got a little bit of a crack that wants to keep springing back out. And I'm not sure what I did wrong there, if I did anything wrong. We're gonna roll with it and hopefully it doesn't crack further. But I can also, before I fire cure this, go through and clean up the body of it. I've done a little bit already, but you'll see on the other end of the forge that it's quite messy out towards the tips here. So maybe I can clean that up a little bit as well. It has been well in excess of the number of recommended hours. They recommend something along the lines of, something along the lines of like, wait 24 hours before you fire it, or wait till it's dry before you fire it, or whatever. Dry for me took like 3 days. And that's probably because of my climate. That's probably because of the humidity and things like that. So just be aware that if you purchase the Mr. Volcano Hero 2, it could very well take much longer than the instructions say. Plan this out over a couple of weeks. Anticipate spending, a lot of time waiting for this to be finished up. I've made sure that these holes for the burners are clean. I should actually take one of my burners, put it in there, and make sure that we slide in without any problems. And we do. And we do. Because we don't want any airflow effect or gas flow effect whatsoever from those holes. We want those to be completely passed through. So I have a different setup for the cameras. Hopefully it works out well. You'll see that I'm a little bit contrasty because of my lights, and then it's dark behind me. But I've actually got my downward cam facing towards the work that I'm doing. So hopefully that'll work out decently well. We'll see. Obviously, this is all kind of a new setup for me. I'm hoping, or I wish there was something I could set this up on. I don't really have a good block for this to set on. I don't really want to use my bricks. Make sure that my microphone is not getting bumped around too much. So anyway, we're going towards applying the second coat, which is 1.25 pounds of refractory cement, and it is 5.53 fluid ounces of water. So then we're going to air dry the same way as the first coat. And then afterward we will cure, but not in this video. I'll be honest with you, the curing is going to take several hours. I might be able to do a time lapse with my GoPro, but it's going to take potentially several hours to do so, because we have to go through and get all of the steam out. And I may even be able to do it pretty quickly if I let as much of the moisture out as possible. I want to do this low and slow. That's the name of the game when it comes to this stuff. This time I do have a small 1.5 inch paintbrush that I'm going to be trying out. We're going to see how that works out. I do need my gloves, if I have any, here. I may not, so I may have to run and grab some from my basement, or I could just get my hands dirty. It's not the end of the world if I get my hands dirty. I am in a workshop after all. So, that being said, I think it's time for us to mix up our stuff. I believe I answered the question last time. How much weight is in one of these bags of refractory, as far as how much we need. Let's see, 4 pounds, 6 bags. Let's see. For the second layer, use 1 12-ounce and 1 8-ounce bag. Okay, I've got that. And the last remaining 8-ounce bag is for future maintenance. Okay, so as far as I know, a decent bit of the refractory cement itself is, or sorry, not the refractory cement, the blanket, the wool or ceramic wool or whatever they call it. That is mainly just to protect the actual ceramic, or sorry, geez, I can't talk. I'm so sorry. The refractory cement is meant to protect the ceramic wool from getting gouged, damaged, pulled, and ultimately causing premature failure of the case. So we are going to be as thorough as we can be with this stuff and make sure that we are following the instructions as well as possible. That's what I've been trying to do the entire time. It's not my strong suit. All right, so we're gonna tear. Tear just means to zero out our refractory, or sorry, our scale. I'm gonna throw this on, make sure I'm checking for spiders, because again, spiders in your mask, not ideal. So we need 5.53 fluid ounces of water. Just got a good slap to it. Doing that. Let's not. Let's not say we didn't. Now remember last time I did this, trying to talk through this respirator was a pain in the butt. So I'm going to try my best to empty this in and call it good. Jeez, ouch. I do have a little spray bottle of water, just in case I need it. I don't think I will, but who knows. I do need that knife. Thank you for asking. It is absolutely such fine dust that no matter what you try to do to prevent it from getting into the air around you, it's going to get there. You can try to mitigate it if you find a way to do it without a full vent hood. More power to you. But yeah. All right, we're going to try now to mix this up. I don't know if the camera will pick up the smoke-like vapors coming off of it. But if you do this on your own, please remember to wear personal protective equipment. At bare minimum, like an N95 mask to keep those vapors out, or to keep that dust out. Those particles are pretty nasty. Try to evenly disperse as much of the water as possible. Get it as homogeneous, as saturated across the board as every other part. We want to get as much of this
They say look for a sour cream consistency, but this is absolutely not sour cream consistency. Holy cow. I don't know how that's going to go on with a brush at all. But we'll try it. Maybe we'll try finishing it with the brush. All right, we're pretty much in the clear of needing this. Maybe.
There we go. So now, you might be able to see a bit of this, but we've got this gray gunk. Looks kind of like the gray stuff from Beauty and the Beast, the Disney rendition. My hair is probably a mess right now. Am I sexy, darling? All right, yeah, I think we're pretty good. I'm not gonna make the same mistake as I did last time, I think. I'm gonna try not to, of taking off my gloves, because that really messed me up last time. All right, let's begin the layering. They say the idea is to put 2 thin layers of this refractory in, but these are actually kind of thick layers. I can already tell that my glove is gonna get ripped up on this. Oh, and it's hard. Oh no, it's hard to see what's new application versus what's prior application. That's less than ideal. Okay. The ceramic wool is really what's doing the heavy lifting, right? Not the actual refractory cement. The refractory cement is more of a, like, oh hey, we just want to make sure this kind of holds up and this doesn't get gouged, but I'm sure that the cement does something. Provides some insulative capability. I'm trying to be careful here of my burner holes. And if for some reason this fails, which is entirely possible, as in the actual, if for some reason the actual forge fails, not just the refractory application, I will go back to just the coal forge. I do have that as a backup. Let's focus in on where my cracks are here. Get it in my corners here. I'm sure they say, oh, make sure there are no cracks, but I'm honestly thinking I probably heavily undersaturated the blanket when I put it in, or undercompressed it maybe even. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, man. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning all this stuff just the same as you. So I'm gonna be bummed, don't get me wrong, if this doesn't work out. But I'm certainly gonna give it everything I've got to try to make it as good of a forge as I can. Because I want this to succeed, I really do. Let's get that. Okay, we have a pretty fierce divot there. The benefit of recording this though, is I've got these nice lights, so I can actually see what I'm doing to a degree. I'm gonna tip this up, check where I need to add. I think I mentioned earlier that, yeah, I mentioned earlier that I power washed my driveway yesterday, and we bought a power washer because we don't have a massive house, but the house is getting to that age where everything that standard maintenance, including the cement and all the like patio space and everything like that all needs attention. Not that it's breaking down at the moment severely or anything like that, but it definitely needs some love, if you will. And ooh, that could be a problem. Definitely needs a little bit of TLC, if you know what I mean. And so we decided that with all of the stuff that needed cleaning, the siding of the house, the patio, you know, we've got a deck out front and a small deck in the back. We probably need, you know, some kind of power washer of some size. And I started doing the research. And when we sold our old house, when we sold the old house and we bought this one, we were able to sell right at the height of the big, you know, outbreak and everything. And so we were able to sell our house for quite a bit more than we bought it for, actually. So we took a lot of that money and we put it right into the house that we bought, i.e. a new roof and a new furnace and air conditioner, because it had an old central AC unit, but that central AC unit was on its last legs. Like it got us through a couple of months, but the people that inspected it, they're like, don't know how. So we're like, okay, that's fair. It's probably 20 years old or so. So we'll look at getting it replaced. And so we replaced it. All in all, we spent a lot of money to fix up the house when we first bought it, or a few months after we first bought it. And the driveway is the next thing. Hopefully we don't have to redo the driveway entirely, because that stuff's expensive. I don't know if you've ever looked at like doing a whole new driveway or paving a driveway or whatever. That stuff is not at all cheap, man. Like, holy cow, is it expensive. And I don't know how to build a driveway. Like redoing a driveway or like I guess, what would you call it? I don't know if it's resurfacing. I think it's resurfacing. Just putting a new layer of sealant on it. I'm guessing that's resurfacing. It's way cheaper and way easier. But like most people, given the capital to invest in that, can probably do that just fine. I would argue that it doesn't take much to resurface a driveway, you know? Come on. There we go. It takes some time, quite a bit of time, but not a ton of skill, as far as I know. I haven't done it yet. I'll talk about it here after I've done it, and we'll kind of, I guess, retroactively talk about what happened with the whole process. But it doesn't seem to me like it's going to be that big of a deal to do that, you know? There we go. We are running low on our material. But I don't really have any. I've got one crack there that I'd like to address. I don't really have any exposed blanket. So anyway, we bought a power washer, a decent sized one, based on the research we did. And we found that we needed, not a crazy one, but we ended up getting like a prosumer one, which is like a professional / consumer one, low-end professional, high-end consumer grade power washer. And that thing cranked through my driveway so well yesterday. But you know what didn't crank through my driveway so well yesterday? my back. I pinched something, or I pulled something in my back, and now it is just fiercely in pain. So apologize if I feel a bit distracted, more so than usual on this particular video. I do really apologize. Let's brush this down. Maybe try to give this a bit of a nicer aesthetic. Yeah, I don't know how this brush would have helped, honestly. I apologize, I don't know how long this camera was offline for, but everything should be over here. Hi. Anyway, so I don't know how much this brush would have helped. That power washer, really useful tool. If you're looking for something to spend more money on than you probably need to, power washer, great investment, great tool. It does help with a lot of things. I was able to edge my driveway with ours. I do have an edger that is an attachment for my my weed whacker, but it is it's a hefty beast to deal with. Not even gonna lie. I bought one of those weed whackers again when we first bought the house, because the previous owners, I don't know if they just didn't care about the house or what, but they didn't maintain it all that well. And so I had to do a decent amount of work to try to rein the yard in, my wife and I both, and it was not ideal, you know. It was pretty painful, all the work that we had to put into it. Get off me. So we bought this four-stroke weed whacker, so I don't have to mix the fuel, because I hate mixing fuel because I always forget the ratios, and looking them up is a pain in the butt because it all depends on the size of your engine and all that stuff. It's annoying. Is it bougie to go out and buy a higher end weed whacker? Higher end weed whacker because of not wanting to mix fuel? Yeah, it's bougie. Don't get me wrong. Like I get that, but like I work hard for the money that I got. I might as well invest in a bit of my time, try to make my life a little bit easier. I say as I go through and manually cut metal with a hacksaw in my shop, as I do all of the editing and everything for a YouTube channel, as I do all of that stuff, as I'm a dad and a husband. Like, I let's get you caked in. The brush does help, like, squeeze stuff off the bottom, which is handy. Also, the fire bricks that I showed off when I first showed that I bought this, those fire bricks are put into the bottom of this, in here, right along here, the full length of the forge. And they are to set the metal pieces on and things like that. And they can handle quite a bit of temperature. Quite a bit of temperature. I do say so. So I'm excited. I hope this lasts a decent amount of time. If I end up having to use more refractory cement, more of the Satanite, that's fine. That's just kind of the way things go. But I was kind of hoping to get it close to right early on, you know? Let's, whoops. I keep forgetting I don't have a glove on this hand. This is why you don't take your gloves off until the job's done. There we go. I think this is pretty close to done, honestly. I think this is pretty good. The next step on this is going to be to fire cure it. Again, I don't think I'm going to record an actual video of that. I might. Like I'll probably do a time lapse of that, because that's going to be multiple hours. I don't know how many hours exactly, but it is going to be multiple hours of work just to try to get that done. How did that get on my hand? And it's not going to be interesting. You know, it's not going to be something where I can talk. Well, I mean, I could talk to you about stuff, but I'm going to run out of topics pretty quickly to talk about, because it would almost become fireside chats with Steven, or you know, philosophy with Steven, or life as a you know, almost 30 white guy. Like it's not going to be that fascinating for most people, so I don't know that it really makes sense to do a full video. That looks pretty good, honestly. Like, I don't know what else to do with it. So anyway, they say that you really shouldn't fire this until 24 hours after. Until 24 hours after all of the refractory has like gone in and everything like that. Now, granted, I'm probably not going to do it for another like full week or so. That's okay. I'm not planning on doing anything crazy with this. Once it is fired, though, the hope is to go through and start making things. You know, I want to start by making some hardy tools. The whole reason I bought this particular forge, the propane forge, is because I wanted a forge that would be able to handle some of the stock that I purchased to do hardy tools. If you don't recall, I have an anvil that is non-standard. What that means is, when I get a piece of steel to make tools out of, it has to be bigger. Wow, really? Motorcycles and jet planes. This is just a bad day to record. Like, come on, man. So anyway, I've got this piece of steel. Every piece of steel that I get to make hardy tools with has to be decently sized, because I have I think a 1 3/8 inch hardy hole compared to a 1 inch, which is standard. So I have to buy something like this to go into that forge. And this, I think this is 1.5 inches. I'm pretty sure this is 1.5 inches. So I even have to pound this down a little bit. But my coal forge would take forever to heat up this piece of metal each time. You may recall me singeing my glove on this before because it was so hot. It has such a thermal retention. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So it ended up actually burning one of my gloves. Where are those gloves? Are they down here? Yeah, they are. Can you still see it? Yeah, you can. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but there's a line right here where I'd grabbed onto this piece of metal, and it smoked, and it went up in nasty smells. It was acrid. It was nasty. But that was the episode where I'm like, hey, newsflash, everybody, fire's hot. But it didn't look hot, which is not a good sign when you're working with hot metals and things like that. Never go by look with as far as temperature goes, if you're just trying to see if something is cold or hot, right? This was sitting in the fire for a while. It wasn't showing any signs of, wasn't showing any indicators that it was heating up, but I knew that it would be warm. I just thought that maybe that this handle or the length of it that was not in the fire was so far out of the fire and exposed to so much air that it wouldn't retain the heat nearly as much. Man, was I wrong. Wholeheartedly. And thinking back on it, it's because the handle is thick. If it had been a thin piece of handle or a thin piece of metal out on one end and the thick end was in the fire, maybe it'd be a little bit different. But no. Anyway, fire's hot. Don't touch hot things. Assume everything in a metal shop is hot. Just good rule of thumb, right? That being said, we are at the end of this video, and we have a forge that has now 2 layers of refractory in it. The final step is, again, to fire cure it until there's no steam coming out of it. And I probably won't be able to do that for another week or two because I want it to be fully dry, first of all. And second of all, I've got a lot going on. Between having to do my driveway next weekend and build my wife's greenhouse still. I'm still working on that because it's a big job for one person. And then I've got a wedding I'm going to at the end of this month. And then pretty soon I start school up again. So I've got to pay attention to that. I don't know how frequent my videos will be, honestly, during the semester. I don't know how much free time I'll have. That depends on the classes, unfortunately. So, yeah, if you want me to put out some simple videos, let me know. Videos probably won't be too much in the workshop at that point, but I can still do some of my talk videos or some of my educational videos. I can do programming videos, things like that. If you've got suggestions for that, for the kind of content you want to see between August and December, please throw it in the comments because I'm not starved for ideas necessarily, but I'm limited on what I'll be able to do for a time investment. If you are interested in that kind of stuff, please throw that suggestion out there, or those suggestions out there. If this video was interesting to you, if you find this intriguing, please hit the like button. It shows me that you are interested and that you do want to see more of this. And if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button because, again, it lets you know that it lets you know when all my videos go up, but it also tells me that what I'm doing is in line with what you got going on. And then we can start talking, we can start doing some stuff, and we can go from there. So, the whole deal. Too long didn't read. TLDR version. Like, comment, subscribe. Easy enough, right? So, we'll see you in the next video. And until then, have a good one.